आवाज उते जिते गाढ़ा गबरू गायन था कि मैखाने ते माक वसे
नारा 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 सिंध
जिए 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 सिंध
नारा 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 सिंध
जिए 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 सिंध The World Sindhi Congress with our Baloch friends, we have organized this demonstration against the heinous crimes against the humanity by Pakistani agencies, particularly ISI and military intelligence, who is involved in heinous crimes against Sindhi and Baloch people. Every day there is Baloch tortured bodies are appearing. Every day Sindhi nationalist forces who are secular, fighting for democracy, fighting for their rights and independence, have been tortured and killed, and hundreds of Sindhi people have been disappeared, including GSN Muttada Mahas, Secretary General Muzaffar Bhutto. This crimes against humanity, which is committed by Pakistani agencies who's secretly supporting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they are fighting against the secular Sindhi and Baloch people because they don't believe that these are Pakistanis. They believe that we are not the citizens of Pakistan. They consider as a victims of Pakistan. And every day there is a torture and killing going on against the Sindhi and Baloch people. Recently, they have killed 4 Sindhi leaders, including Sirai Kurban Fawad, Senior Vice Chairman of GSN Muttada Mahas, Ruplo Cholyani, Nader Bhokti, and one of the affected person, Nurullah Tunyo, has been injured, and they have burnt them alive. The Nurullah Tunyo has given us his dying declaration to the entire world, and his evidence is there in the YouTube, BBC and every newspaper and on the media, that they have been attacked by ISI people in their long boots and in their government vehicles with government weapons. They have attacked on them. These are innocent people. Every day, including the peaceful rallies of Sindhi nationalists, rallies of Sindhi United Party, rallies of Sindh Taraqi Pasand Party, rallies of GSN Qawmi Mahas, rallies of GSN Tehreek, peaceful rallies of GSN Mahas and Awami Tehreek. They have been attacked and killed. Even the government, civilian government itself, it says we don't know who has ordered these policemen to attack and fire on the peaceful rallies. We know these people who have been employed in police forces, they take orders from ISI because these are ISI people. They attack on peaceful rallies, and every person who is Sindhi, who is Baloch, is the criminal in their minds, and they attack. This mindset who has killed millions of Baloch people, millions of Bengali people in 1970s, and that mindset, that regime is still governing the Pakistan. That mindset is still there, who is committing crimes. Now world has enough evidence that these criminals, this regime of military is with the Taliban, is with the Al-Qaeda. They have been hiding Osama bin Laden since years, and it has become a sanctuary of Al-Qaeda and the terrorist fundamentalists.
Stop supporting Pakistan. Stop supporting
Pakistan.
Muslim allies.
Pakistan. But they are against us, which are democratic people, which are secular people, which are fighting for their rights as a Sindhi, as a Baloch, and we claim that we will win our victory, we will win our freedom, and they can't stop us from getting our freedom. Thank you very much. I must say thank you to all of the participants.
Evil state!
Pakistan.
Military state.
Pakistan.
Evil state.
Pakistan.
Stop supporting.
Pakistan.
Stop supporting.
Pakistan.
Thanks, Dr. Hidayat Bhutto. You are quite right that Pakistan Army has perpetrated the heinous crimes against Sindhi and Baloch people. Now, I will request one of our Sindhi's friend, Baloch friend, and he's been giving support to Sindhi and Baloch for a long time, and he's writing in the local paper and international papers. Peter Tatchel.
Thank you. I'm very, very proud to support this protest against Pakistan's terror campaign in Sindh and Balochistan. The struggle of the people of Sindh and Balochistan is a struggle for freedom, for democracy, for social justice, for the right to self-determination. Every people in every land have a right to self-determination, and the historic wrong done to the people of Sindh and Balochistan must be put right. It has been long delayed, but it must be put right. It must be put right soon, not at some point in the distant future, but soon, so the people of Balochistan and Sindh can determine their own future, so they can be free of the occupation and oppression of the Pakistani military and intelligence agencies. And Britain has a particular responsibility in this respect. Britain's historic ties give up a responsibility to care for the fate of the people of Sindh and Balochistan. To put right the errors that Britain made at the time when independence was granted. To put right the errors since, when Britain has been supplying weapons and military training to the Pakistani armed forces. Training and weapons that have been used to oppress and suppress the people of Sindh and Balochistan. Our Prime Minister, David Cameron, has only been in office a year. But in that year, he has had a chance to turn a new page. He hasn't done so. He still colludes, his government still colludes with the Pakistani regime. His military still colludes with the Pakistani military. We have to say that Britain, as a nation which proclaims a commitment to democracy and human rights, must cut these ties. Must not only cut these ties, but ensure that oppressed peoples in Sindh and Balochistan and throughout the rest of Pakistan are supported. That Britain as a nation goes to the European Union and goes to the United Nations and makes a clear, absolute commitment to support the people's struggle for freedom. We have diplomatic representation at the United Nations and the European Union. We, Britain, as a nation, should be using that to support those people who are struggling. We should be using it to expose the terrible human rights abuses that are happening in Sindh and Balochistan. The disappearances, the arrests, the tortures, the detention without trial, the censorship of the media, the military lockdowns, the fact that human rights offenders cannot for the most part enter these lands because of the military blockade and lockdown. Britain needs to take a stance. We expect our government, which speaks in the name of democracy and human rights, to also act in the name of democracy and human rights. In recent weeks, we have seen more and more killings and disappearances. We have seen the terror campaign ratcheted up as the Pakistani military and intelligence agencies seek to further crush all voices of dissent, all nationalist aspirations, and all those who yearn in Sindh and Balochistan for freedom and self-determination. We need to be absolutely clear that Britain and all democratic countries East and West, North and South, have a moral and legal duty to stand with those people who are struggling for freedom. And now, as we see exposed the way in which Osama bin Laden lived all those years in Pakistan, right at the doorstep of a military base and academy, it is very difficult to believe Pakistani military and intelligence services were not aware of that. We know that they are sheltering the Taliban in Quetta and elsewhere in Balochistan. We know they are using the Taliban as a proxy force to suppress the people of Balochistan. It is very, very hard to believe they did not know that Osama bin Laden was there in their territory. It is very hard to believe that they were not protecting him. We hope that out of this experience, Britain, the United States and other nations will now realize the high level of collusion between the Pakistani military and intelligence agencies and the Taliban, Al-Qaeda and all the other fundamentalist and terrorist groups. We hope this will prompt our governments to make a clear break, to say no more cooperation with the Pakistani military and ISI, no more collusion, no more assistance, no more arms for Pakistan. In fact, what we want are international sanctions against this terrorist regime until they grant the people of Sindh, the people of Balochistan and all the people of Pakistan democracy, human rights and the right to self-determination. Thank you.